Keir Starmer is rattled, so frightened, so desperate to avoid accountability that he is now reaching for powers that constitutional lawyers call dictatorial. And the target of those powers? Brexit. This is the story of how Keir Starmer decided democracy was too inconvenient, and what he's planning to do about it. Starmer is preparing an EU-UK reset bill, expected before the summer, for Britain to adopt EU single market rules, on everything from cars to farming, without a democratic parliamentary vote. Cars, farming, and whatever Brussels decides to add next. The bill would allow the government to implement evolving EU rules using secondary legislation, bypassing full parliamentary scrutiny each time. Not once, not just for one sector, every single time Brussels changes its rulebook, in any area, Starmer's ministers could wave it into British law. No debate, no amendment, no proper vote. Britain would not be agreeing rules with the EU, it would have to follow them, whether it likes it or not, with no seat at the table. And here's the part that should make you furious. This takes Britain closer to being a vassal state than anything the Brexit negotiations under Theresa May or Boris Johnson ever risked. Under this deal, we just blindly comply. Incredible. So how is he doing it? How does Starmer push through something this seismic without asking you or Parliament? Henry VIII clauses are provisions in legislation that grant ministers the power to amend or repeal Acts of Parliament through secondary legislation, completely bypassing the usual legislative process. The name comes from the Statute of Proclamations of 1539, which gave Henry VIII the authority to legislate by royal proclamation, with the same force as an Act of Parliament. Henry used it to totally crush his opposition, to silence his critics, to make himself completely unaccountable. Under normal primary legislation, a bill faces first reading, second reading, committee stage, line-by-line scrutiny, report stage, third reading in both houses. But secondary legislation? Unamendable. Debated once, if at all, in Parliament. Your MPs, the people you elected to represent you, reduced to spectators, just able to nod along, not allowed to fight back. Constitutional scholars, parliamentary committees, and the judiciary have all raised alarm, warning that the proliferation of these powers undermines parliamentary sovereignty and all democratic accountability. Senior legal figures have warned that these clauses allow the executive to introduce policies that the Parliament, which originally passed the bill, never ever envisaged. And with hundreds passing in a single session, the creep of executive power is exponential. This isn't a loophole, it's a wrecking ball. And Starmer is swinging it at the foundations of British democracy. Now, let's talk about what he promised. In September 2023, Starmer explicitly ruled out the UK rejoining the EU under a Labour government. The argument is over, he said. No single market, no customs union, no freedom of movement. The British people have spoken, and Labour respects that. He said it, repeatedly, on the record. And then he won the election. Having initially ruled out significant changes to the Brexit settlement, Starmer has become increasingly direct in criticising the promises made during the 2016 referendum campaign. The mask is slipping. He can't help himself. Those close to Starmer say this is classic Keir, taking 1.5 steps forward, then 1 step back, deliberately opening a door he's too frightened to walk through in public. Crab-like, incremental, hoping nobody notices. But we notice. Incredibly, his government even abolished the Commons EU Scrutiny Committee, scrapping the very body designed to hold EU-related legislation to account, criticised by both Brexiteers and pro-Europeans for leaving a scrutiny vacuum. He didn't just want to bypass Parliament on this bill, he dismantled the watchdog first. That is not incompetence. That is premeditated. Let's be specific about what is on the table here, because the government is counting on you not reading the small print. EU vessels are being granted access to UK fishing waters for a further 12 years, and Britain is accepting a role for the European Court of Justice in the deal. The EU is demanding Britain pay into its economic cohesion funding, costs running into billions, as part of joining the EU energy grid, while handing over control of energy output. Lord Redwood put it plainly: Keir Starmer wants to pay the EU for inflicting this damage on us. He is the world's worst negotiator. And it gets worse. Because Britain no longer has a seat at the table, the EU could devise regulations specifically designed to disadvantage British goods and services, and we would have no power to push back. Brussels tried to do this even when we were members, attempting to ban British chocolate from being called chocolate. Imagine what they'll try when we're rule takers with no vote. This is not a reset. This is a ransom note, and Starmer is signing it with your name. William Pitt the Younger, one of Britain's greatest prime ministers, once said something that has been quoted in legal challenges to these very powers. Necessity is the plea for every infringement of human freedom. It is the argument of tyrants. It is the creed of slaves. Think about that. The argument Starmer is making, that this is necessary, that it's in the national interest, that Parliament would just slow things down, is the oldest excuse for autocracy in the book. Andrew Griffith said it directly. Parliament reduced to a spectator while Brussels sets the terms is exactly what the country rejected. Nigel Farage called it a direct betrayal of the Brexit referendum and a total breach of the government's manifesto promises. Lord Frost, who negotiated Brexit, warned this is the logical consequence of Labour's policy, based on the fallacy that Brexit did economic damage that needed to be repaired. Every institution, every constitutional expert, every watchdog, every opposition voice, all raising the alarm. And Starmer? He's pressing ahead anyway, because he's not governing for you, he's governing despite you. Here is what you need to understand. A Prime Minister who respects democracy always puts his agenda to Parliament. He makes the case, he wins the argument, he governs with a mandate. A Prime Minister who is losing his grip reaches for the powers of dead kings. Starmer is frightened of Parliament because he knows this wouldn't pass proper scrutiny. He is frightened of the public because he knows you didn't vote for this. So he is dismantling the mechanisms of accountability piece by piece and hoping the British public is too distracted to notice. This channel exists precisely for moments like this. Please share this video, talk about it, make some noise, contact your MP, because the moment we stop noticing, the moment we shrug and move on, is the moment they win and we lose, big time. Please don't let them bury this story. This is what they won't tell you UK. Please like, subscribe, share and comment below, because somebody has to say this out loud, and you deserve to know what's going on. Thanks for watching, bye for now.